Thankful Thursday isn't about being polite, it's about realizing impact. And starting a new year isn't about pretending everything was perfect, it's about noticing what stayed meaningful anyway. Real gratitude doesn't come from perfection, it comes from presence. From what someone chose to give, even when no one was keeping score. Some artists change music, others change people. And every once in a while, someone does both quietly, consistently, without demanding credit, simply because it is the right thing to do. Today's letter isn't asking who was the best, it's asking why some names still feel like home long after the year turns, and long after the song ends.
Well, hey, y'all. Look who's here. I know. Y'all been missing me, right? Listen, y'all, welcome in. And hey, Happy New Year. It feels really good to be here tonight. And you can tell I have a voice again. I want to say this up front because I know some of you noticed the quiet the past couple of weeks. And you'll have to forgive me because I'm still recuperating. But I had to step back and take care of my health and to reset the way I wanted to tell these stories. Not because anything was wrong, but because I wanted to come back clearer about why we do this the way we do it. Thursdays are different around here, okay? This isn't about controversy and it's not about dramatic comebacks or explanations. Thankful Thursday is about impact, plain and simple. And part of that reset was realizing that sometimes the clearest way to talk about impact isn't by talking about ourselves at all. It's by looking at the artist that I love, obviously, whose work has shaped people quietly and consistently. You guys know I'm all about my music, and I just want to incorporate more of that because I know a lot about it because I love it so much. And I know there's a lot of people out there that love it too, right? So without asking for anything back here, that's why you'll see us leaning into artists more on days like this. Also because I've got a plethora of texts or emails and letters asking me about different artists. And I realized, Jukebox Journey is a big part of Ask B. It started out with a lot of music, and I love that part about it. So now I want to get back to it. I really do. So not as trivia and not really as rankings, okay? Because I think these people can help us a lot more than they know. It's real examples of how presence, generosity, and intention can echo far beyond a song. Let's see here. Hello, Paisley. Good to have you. Happy New Year. Oh, hi, Nita Ray. Hi, honey. I love you. Happy New Year. I love you guys. Mwah. Thank you for being here so much. I'm been down for a while. My throat's been killing me. Hadn't had much of a voice, but I am back and stronger than ever. It is January 1st, you guys, and we have so much to look forward to, not only with BBTV and Ask a Bee and Ladies Diary and any other Jukebox Journey or anything else that we have. I have so many things that are going on right now, and not just for me. You guys know that I am I'm going to say this right. I am a small galaxy, okay, that is a part of this big, beautiful, iron sharpening iron universe. And let me tell you something, guys. We are upping our game big time. The Iron Sharpening Iron show done by Big Jack has just rebranded, okay? And we are so proud of him because let me tell you, this has become literally a universe. There are a handful of us now, but we are looking to find as many as we can because we are stronger together, okay? Let Big Jack tell you all about that, but y'all hold it in your hearts because we are. And I wouldn't be here without my team either. Okay. So, as we step into a new year, I'm going to go ahead and go on with this. I wanted to start in a place that feels grounded instead of loud. I mean, sure, the music's loud, and if it's too loud, you're too old, right? I know my Z-Rock fans know what that's about. I'm still being mindful of my voice tonight too, okay? And I appreciate y'all letting me show up that way. This kind of show, it deserves pace anyway, right? We all love music and we all want to hear what these people have to say in their letters, don't we? And this is about real life situations or about people that they admire too. It's not just about their situation. It is also about how they find common ground with different artists. And you know me, I love, love, love a handful of artists that I have grown up singing and dancing to and just being a part of that. And hi, Maria. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in, lady. Now listen, okay? Today's episode is built around just one letter. It's going to be a little different now. And this letter isn't asking for rankings or debate. That's not what we do here. Did I ride a dinosaur to school? You know what? I probably did. Did you ride spaceship, aliens? Now, this letter is not, like I was saying, not asking for rankings or debate. Pardon the questions, y'all. I accept them all. We have nothing but free speech here. So it's asking why some artists feel bigger than the music itself, why their presence lasts, why their work feels personal, and why gratitude shows up naturally when their name comes up. So before we talk about the story, before we talk about the music, of course, we're going to start where I always do, and that's with a letter. Now, y'all know I've got a little assistant because, you know, Big Jack says all the time, everybody needs a B. That's me. Can I ask one question? Who does B have? So let me just put this way, okay? Because yeah. I need a B, but there's no B for me. So that's okay. I created one. We do those things as creators, as content creators. And yes, it's AI. And forgive me if you don't like AI. I understand, but I do. Okay. So anyway, we're going to get into this letter now. All right. Y'all ready? You with me? Here comes VB. And she's not sassy today. We had a talk. I'll be back.
Some artists make great music. Others make people feel seen, and every once in a while, you find one who does both, without ever acting like it was a big deal. That's why I'm writing today when I think about gratitude in music. I don't think about awards or chart positions. I think about presence. I think about consistency. Think about the kind of person whose name brings a smile before the song even starts. I'm talking about Dolly Parton. What stands out to me isn't just her voice or her songwriting, though both are undeniable. It's the depth of emotion conveyed. It's the way she's moved through the world without losing her kindness, her humor, or her sense of responsibility to her fans. It's the fame did not harden her and success did not pull her away from where she came from. She remained grounded and true to her origins. She gave back quietly, steadily, and without needing applause. Education, literacy, and dignity for all, making a lasting impact. And she used her platform to lift people who would never be in the room with her, and she never framed it as charity, just as something that needed doing. In an industry that rewards ego and excess, she chose generosity and grace. And somehow, that never made her smaller. It made her bigger. I guess my question isn't really a question at all. It's more of a recognition. Gratitude feels automatic when her name comes up, and I think that says something about legacy. I'd love to hear you talk about that, not as a highlight reel, but as an example of how staying grounded can be its own true power. Thanks for creating a space where appreciation doesn't feel cheesy. It just feels so earned, and that really means a lot. Signed, always grateful. And how music can be a gift.
All right. Always grateful. That was really cool. Yeah, that was really cool. So listen, guys, I'm still saving on my voice and everything, and the answer to the letter is coming in video form. I want you to understand a little bit about my fascination with Dolly first, just to get a little more personal with this. Listen, my mother was a wonderful mother, but she needed help, and so my grandmother had a lot of time with me. And I grew up around her and her friends, and of course, Dolly was all a big part of that. It didn't matter what she looked like. You know what? She will be the first to tell you she looks like that lady on the white trash magazine, right? I wish I had her confidence, but let me tell you this. This woman gave me way more than just music. You'll see my puppy dog back there. Sorry. She gave me more than just music. She gave me a reason to use my voice. In fact, the very first time when I was in school, very first time I did a choir solo, which let me tell you, it's taken me a long time to get on stage here. So being on a big stage was something crazy for me. And it was a great experience, and I'll never forget it. And it felt so good afterwards when people told me I did good. And I was taking private lessons. I have a little bit of a background in school on forward. Anyway, here's the thing. Life was hard. We've all had our instances where life gets hard. And Dolly was always there with her peppy, happy music to get me out of the fog that life handed me almost on a daily in some cases. And that was okay because she gave me a reason to keep moving. And I hope that's what she would do for anybody else, because she is an amazing person. She does so many crazy, wonderful things. And I think, yes, I've done a few pieces on her already, but I think it does her no justice. And I don't really believe, and this is just me, but I don't think I'll ever be able to produce anything good enough for her. Yeah. I've talked about Dolly my entire year here. Okay. I love Dolly with a passion. I've been to Dollywood. My husband took me. It was amazing. And you don't go and not buy the 2-day pass. Let me tell you that, because it's the best park ever. And oh my gosh, Pigeon Forge is amazing. Honestly, I'd never seen such beauty. And it was just amazing to me. But I'm getting off on this. This is what happens when I go off script, y'all. So Dolly was somebody that I had a common ground with my grandmother, but it was also somebody I had a common ground with my mother, because she loved Dolly too. She was more rock. And yeah, I'm a little bit everything. My tastes are eclectic. I love music, period. Okay. Here's the thing. Not many people in my family do much with their voice or singing or anything like that. So I always promised my mom I would do something with my music. And even if, especially with my voice right now, even if it's not singing right now, it's something. So that's why I've switched this around just a little bit. I'm going to read these letters that have come from people asking about artists. And I'm going to tell you, I have so many more letters about artists than I do about people of their own lives. And I guess maybe I've kind of trained the algorithm, I call her Bertha, to know that my biggest thing is rock. So I have all these people that keep asking me about artists, and I feel like I'm neglecting that and neglecting myself in my wants. So that's why we're doing it this way. So I have made up a little video today. It's about Dolly. You might recognize it. I've used some of the past live that I used, but I've changed things around a bit. It's got the music that I created with Suno, so we are all copyright special. Okay? So no problems there. Here goes the video.
Caregiving wasn't optional, it was survival. Growing up in rural Appalachia, resources were limited, opportunities were scarce, and community mattered because it had to. When there wasn't enough to go around, people learned early that you shared what you had, not because it was noble, but because it was necessary. In places like that, generosity isn't a brand or a personality trait. It's a way of making it through the day. You learn quickly that isolation doesn't work, and that pride doesn't feed anyone. What people lacked in material wealth, they made up for in shared responsibility. Everyone carried something. Everyone contributed something. That understanding becomes part of you long before you ever think about success. That kind of environment teaches lessons that don't fade when circumstances change. It teaches you that people matter more than appearances. That presence is often more valuable than possessions. And that kindness isn't something you save for special occasions. It's something you practice because the alternative doesn't work. That kind of upbringing doesn't disappear when success arrives. It doesn't get replaced by money, or recognition, or opportunity. Instead, it becomes a reference point, a quiet standard that everything else gets measured against. From an early age, Dolly understood that attention was fleeting, but impact was lasting. Applause comes and goes. Headlines fade, but the way you make people feel tends to stay. Music, for her, wasn't just a path out of hardship. It was also a way back in. A way to reflect the lives she knew without turning them into a spectacle. A way to tell stories that acknowledged struggle without exploiting it. A way to make people feel seen rather than observed. That distinction matters more than it sounds. There's a difference between telling stories about people and telling stories for them. One creates distance, the other creates connection. Dolly's music didn't hover above the lives it described. It stood beside them. It didn't ask listeners to admire her perspective. It invited them to recognize their own. Her early career showed ambition, but it was paired with awareness. She wanted to succeed, absolutely. But not at the cost of erasing where she came from. She didn't treat her background as something to overcome and then forget. She carried it with her. That choice mattered. It shaped how she wrote. It shaped how she performed. It shaped how she spoke to audiences who saw themselves reflected in her long before the industry recognized her power. There's something grounding about an artist who doesn't ask you to admire them from a distance. Dolly never positioned herself as untouchable. Even as her visibility grew, her posture stayed familiar. She didn't ask people to meet her where she was. She stayed reachable where they were. Gratitude, in this context, wasn't something she expected to receive. It wasn't something she chased or curated. It was something she practiced. Through storytelling, through humor, through humility, Dolly positioned herself as someone who belonged to her listeners, not above them. That relationship didn't rely on image. It relied on trust. Trust is slow to build and easy to break. It doesn't come from perfection. It comes from consistency, from showing up the same way over time, from letting people see you without constantly adjusting for approval. Dolly didn't need to announce who she was. She demonstrated it. As her platform grew, so did the opportunities to distance herself from her roots. Many artists do. It's an easy transition when success begins demanding polish, separation, and elevation. When the industry encourages distance as a sign of arrival, Dolly resisted that pull. Instead of narrowing her audience, she widened it. Instead of elevating herself beyond reach, she made herself more accessible. She didn't simplify herself to be relatable. She stayed honest enough that people could meet her where she stood. That choice wasn't accidental. It reflected a belief system formed long before fame entered the picture. Education mattered, kindness mattered, being remembered for how you treated people mattered. Those values weren't added later as branding or image management. They were already there, shaping decisions quietly, long before the spotlight arrived. This phase of her life matters because it explains everything that followed. Gratitude didn't become part of Dolly Parton's legacy after success showed up. It existed before success and shaped how that success was handled. The foundation was already set. The values were already established. Fame didn't create them. It tested them. In an industry that often rewards reinvention through abandonment of the past, Dolly chose continuity. She didn't erase where she came from. She amplified it, and that amplification created resonance, especially among people who rarely saw their lives reflected with respect. It wasn't about nostalgia, it was about acknowledgement. This is where thankful Thursday truly starts. Not with achievements or milestones, but with grounding. With someone who learned early that success without responsibility is hollow. That recognition without care doesn't last. That gratitude, when rooted in values rather than performance, creates a different kind of influence. Before Dolly Parton became synonymous with generosity, she lived it quietly. Day after day, choice after choice, without announcing it, without demanding credit, and that quiet consistency is what made gratitude feel inevitable rather than forced when her name entered the conversation. By the time people began associating her with kindness, she hadn't just adopted it, she had already practiced it for decades. And that's the difference. Gratitude that grows out of grounding doesn't need to be requested. It arrives naturally, because it's been earned long before anyone thought to name it. As Dolly Parton's career expanded, so did the number of ways she could have chosen to disengage. Fame offers insulation. It creates distance between success and responsibility, between influence and accountability. The higher someone rises, the easier it becomes to separate themselves from the realities that shaped them in the first place. Many artists accept that distance without question. Dolly didn't. That choice matters more than it seems. Because insulation feels comfortable, it feels earned, and in many cases, it's encouraged. Success often comes with an unspoken message. You've made it, so you no longer have to carry what you came from. But Dolly never treated success as an exit ramp from responsibility. She treated it as a widening of it. What makes this phase of her story stand out is that generosity wasn't reactive. It wasn't triggered by controversy. It wasn't tied to scandal, image repair, or public pressure. It wasn't something rolled out when the spotlight demanded proof of goodness. It was intentional, quiet, steady. She understood something fundamental about visibility. Having a platform wasn't just about being seen, it was about access. Access to resources, access to attention, access to opportunities that most people never get. And access, whether acknowledged or not, carries responsibility. That responsibility doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with instructions. But it shows up in moments where someone has the ability to act and chooses whether or not to. Dolly noticed those moments, and instead of looking away, she leaned into them. Rather than narrowing her focus to music alone, Dolly looked outward. She paid attention to the gaps she remembered from her own childhood: literacy, opportunity, dignity. She didn't assume those gaps had closed just because she had escaped them. She recognized that success is individual, but need is collective. Gratitude, in her case, wasn't abstract appreciation for having made it. It wasn't just thankfulness for opportunity or luck. It was an awareness of what still needed doing, of who was still standing where she once stood, of how uneven access remains, even when one person breaks through. This is where her influence began extending beyond entertainment. Not because she announced a shift, not because she rebranded herself, but because her actions quietly expanded. Instead of waiting for recognition or permission, she acted. She didn't wait to be asked. She didn't wait for applause. She didn't wait for consensus. Giving didn't become a performance. It became a habit, and habits, when sustained, reshape lives far beyond the reach of a single song. A song can inspire, a habit can transform. Dolly understood that difference. What's striking about this phase of her story is how little she asked in return. There was no demand for praise, no insistence on spotlight, no expectation that generosity be acknowledged publicly. The work mattered more than the recognition. The outcome mattered more than the optics. That restraint reinforced trust, especially among communities accustomed to promises that arrive loudly and leave quickly. People have learned to be cautious of generosity that comes with strings attached. Dolly's didn't, and over time, that consistency spoke louder than any announcement ever could. In an industry that often frames generosity as branding, Dolly's approach stood apart. Her giving wasn't designed to redefine her image or soften her reputation. It flowed naturally from it. She didn't present herself as a savior. She didn't frame her actions as heroic. She positioned herself as a participant, someone willing to invest resources where they could make a tangible difference. That positioning matters, because it keeps power from becoming performative. It keeps giving from becoming hierarchical. Dolly didn't place herself above the people she helped. She stood alongside them, even as her platform grew. This segment of her story underscores a quiet truth. Gratitude becomes powerful when it's paired with agency. Saying, "Thank you," matters. But doing something with that gratitude matters more. Dolly didn't just express appreciation for where she came from. She used her success to widen access for others still standing there. As her career continued, these choices accumulated. One decision reinforced the next. One act of giving made the next easier, not harder. Over time, the pattern became unmistakable. Gratitude wasn't something she spoke about. It was something people experienced because of her. People felt it not through speeches, but through results. Through opportunities created, through doors opened, through support that didn't disappear once the headlines moved on. That's how gratitude becomes credible, when it's experienced rather than advertised. This phase of her story matters because it reframes what influence can look like. It challenges the assumption that impact has to be loud to be effective. It reminds us that spectacle isn't required for change. Consistency is. It also reinforces something deeper. Success doesn't absolve responsibility. It amplifies it. The more access you have, the more opportunity you have to make a difference. And the choice is always there, to disengage or to lean in. By choosing to give when she didn't have to, Dolly Parton demonstrated that gratitude isn't passive. It's active, it's deliberate, it requires intention, and when practiced steadily, it becomes inseparable from legacy itself. Her influence didn't expand because she demanded attention. It expanded because she honored responsibility. And in doing so, gratitude stopped being something people felt momentarily and became something they remembered long after the moment passed. That's what happens when giving is rooted in choice rather than obligation. It lasts.
You know, gratitude in music doesn't usually come from spectacle. It comes from consistency. I love that. From, showing up the same way when no one is watching and when everyone is. And I don't think today's letter is about admiration from a distance. I think it's about recognition, the kind that builds quietly over time. Some artists earn gratitude not because they demand attention, but because they never forget who they were responsible to, not for, to. In an industry built on taking, there are rare figures who focused on giving, not as branding and not as image management, but as habit. Gratitude like that doesn't come from the moment, it comes from the patterns, from choices repeated so often they become part of someone's identity. Before gratitude becomes legacy, it begins as intention. And to understand why Dolly Parton inspires that kind of response, we have to start with where it came from, the values, the voice, and the quiet decisions that shaped everything that followed. And this is where Thankful Thursday really begins. We're going to take a small break because we need a little BB rising. I'll see y'all in a minute.
She came from the quiet storms, built a fire from the ground, turned a whisper to a warning. Now her voice shakes the town. Every setback was a lesson, every doubt became a key, unlocking something bigger. That's the rise of Boss B. When the lights go low, her vision hits high. She built a whole damn network off a promise and a try. Every sunrise, every moment, she's stacking legacy. This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV. A Boss B rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel road to the neon dream, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss B rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's the queen of the comeback, the storm in the stream, crafting stories out of heartbeats, making visions out of dreams. Got thunder in the hustle, got a voice that cuts clean. Every mic she touches turns the power unseen. So let brother spin the numbers, let the views rise slow or fast. Boss B doesn't measure wins by echoes of the past. This moment is a pivot, this season's history. Bow down to the founder of the BBTV dynasty. Boss B rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dream, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss B rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's got fire in the head, it's got truth in the frame, got a heart that won't retire and a gift you can't keeps watching as the numbers climb, but she's counting all the moments, not the dollar signs. From the late night grind to the daylight scene, she's building something bigger than the algorithm's dream. Boss be rising, BBTV shining, her story's rewriting, a legacy in real time. Boss be rising, BBTV's igniting, turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling when she hits go live, everybody feels it. BBTV, where the stories breathe. BBTV, where the dreamers believe. Boss be rising, watch her take her place. This is BBTV, this is her grace.
Gratitude stops being personal and starts becoming structural. For Dolly Parton, that shift didn't happen through spectacle or announcements. It happened through repetition, through choices made often enough that their impact extended far beyond her immediate circle. What distinguishes this phase of her story is that expansion didn't dilute intention. As her influence grew, the purpose behind it remained intact. The same values that shaped her early decisions continued guiding how she used her platform, even as the reach multiplied. That consistency is rare, especially at scale. Millions of people encountered her not just as an artist, but as a presence that felt steady and reliable. Gratitude didn't come from proximity to fame. It came from trust. People trusted that when Dolly attached her name to something, it wasn't hollow. It wasn't temporary. It wasn't performative. This trust allowed her efforts to ripple outward. Literacy initiatives reached families who had never attended a concert. Educational support reached children who would never know her as a performer. The music opened the door, but the giving walked through it quietly, without requiring applause. What's important here is how invisible much of this work remained. There were no dramatic pivots or image overhauls. No insistence on being recognized as benevolent. The focus stayed on outcomes rather than optics. That restraint preserved authenticity even as influence expanded. Gratitude at this level becomes cultural, not personal. It embeds itself into communities, routines, and lives in ways that don't always get traced back to a single source. Over time, people may forget who started something, but they remember how it made them feel. Safe, seen, supported. This phase of Dolly's impact challenges the assumption that scale requires compromise. It proves that growth doesn't have to erode sincerity if intention remains clear. Her gratitude didn't weaken as it spread, it strengthened, because it was rooted in values rather than validation. In a landscape where attention is often leveraged for visibility, Dolly leveraged it for stability. She didn't chase relevance. She became reliable. That reliability is what allowed gratitude to transform from individual acts into lasting infrastructure. By this point, her legacy was no longer confined to albums or performances. It lived in classrooms, homes, and communities far removed from the spotlight. The music introduced her. The gratitude sustained her relevance. This segment matters because it reframes success entirely. It suggests that the most enduring influence isn't the loudest, it's the most consistent. And that gratitude, when practiced without conditions, has the power to scale without losing its soul. As Dolly Parton Parton's reach expanded, so did the number of lives quietly touched by her choices. And in that quiet accumulation, gratitude became something far bigger than appreciation. It became presence. Legacy is usually measured in numbers, albums sold, awards won, years active. But for Dolly Parton, gratitude became the more accurate metric, not because it was requested, but because it was consistently earned. What makes her legacy distinct is that gratitude didn't arrive late, as a retrospective honor. It followed her in real time. People didn't have to reassess her story years later to find meaning in it. The meaning was visible as it was being built, quietly reinforcing itself with every choice that aligned values with action. Over decades, audiences learned something important. Dolly was dependable. Not predictable in a creative sense, but reliable in character. That reliability created safety, a rare currency in both music and public life. When people feel safe with an artist, gratitude becomes instinctive rather than conditional. This is why her name carries warmth across generations and genres. You don't have to be a country fan. You don't have to know her catalog deeply. The gratitude exists independently of taste, because it's rooted in trust. Trust that she wouldn't exploit her platform. Trust that she wouldn't abandon the people who identified with her. Trust that success wouldn't harden her. Legacy, in this case, wasn't built through reinvention or controversy. It was built through steadiness. Through showing up the same way over time. Through choosing generosity without demanding acknowledgement. That kind of consistency doesn't generate headlines, it generates loyalty. What also sets this story apart is that gratitude didn't replace artistry. The music remained strong, the creativity stayed sharp, the humor stayed intact. Giving didn't dilute the work, it deepened it. The songs carried more weight because the person behind them had proven trustworthy beyond the stage. As time passed, the distinction between artist and influence blurred. Dolly became less of a figure people followed and more of a presence people relied on. That transition doesn't happen accidentally. It's the result of choices repeated often enough to become identity. Thankful Thursday exists for stories like this because they remind us that impact doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. Gratitude doesn't have to be dramatic to be real. And legacy doesn't require domination, it requires care. Dolly Parton's story endures because it offers something increasingly rare. Proof that kindness can scale, that generosity can remain sincere, and that staying grounded can be a form of strength rather than limitation. When gratitude follows a name for decades without being asked for, it's not coincidence. It's character. And that's why this story still matters.
As you can tell. I just can't win. All right. You guys, I hope that was okay. I love Dolly so very much because of all the wonderful things that she does for others. I mean, everyone. She doesn't discriminate. She doesn't care where you come from, what your name is, or how you got there. She loves you anyway. Like she said, she is everyone's grandma, right? Now, I've never had the pleasure of meeting her personally, but let me tell you, that would be the end all for me. I'm more than just a fan. I feel like our granddaughter too, in a way, because you know, there's common ground. There's always common ground. But before I go off on another tangent, I want to close this gently because it is that time. The dogs don't want to be quiet, apparently. Stop. So today wasn't about applause. It was about recognition, that kind that settles in quietly and it stays. Starting a new year doesn't always mean looking forward. Sometimes it means appreciating what proved itself over time. Dolly did that, right? Shh, 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 shh. Okay, sorry, it's the dogs again. So when you look at life like Dolly's gratitude doesn't feel like something you're supposed to say. I'm sorry about that, guys. Now I'm all off kilter here. I've been concerned about my health. My husband is too. He just brought me some food in. I guess he forgot because I've been off for a while, but that's okay. I love him for doing that because he knows I need to eat something. Okay, so if it feels like something, you already feel, not because the music told you to, but because the choices did, right? We talked about roots. We talked about intentions. We talked about giving that didn't ask for anything back. And that's the difference, I think. Gratitude isn't a reaction here. It's a response to consistency. Thankful Thursday exists to remind us that impact doesn't have to be loud. And legacy doesn't have to be complicated. Sometimes it's built by showing up the same way over and over. Dolly did that. Dolly's still doing that, even when no one's counting. Y'all, thank you for being here with me today, for letting the story breathe. And if you came back wondering where the heck I've been, I am so sorry, and I'm going to lose it again if I'm not careful. I've had some voice issues and some health issues that I just had to take care of. I'm okay. Everything's fine. I'm back. Your girl is good. But, just thank you for letting me take a moment and letting the story breathe, and for starting the year in a place that values care over noise. That's what I had to do before we got to the new year. Tomorrow, we're going to circle back some music. Different lens, and a story about what it looks like to return a little wiser than you left. Y'all take care of yourselves. I'm gonna go get me some food and some stuff for my throat. Be kind where it counts. And one more thing before I take off. On the 4th, we have a show coming up for Big Jack and his iron sharpening iron universe, and we are going to celebrate everything that we've accomplished in this past year. And I mean, there's a lot. Everybody's happy. Things are moving right along, and let me tell you, this universe is expanding. Again, I'm just one galaxy, okay? One little galaxy in here. That's all I am. But let me tell you, I feel on top of the world now. 2026 is about to be our year. Plain and simple. There's no other way to put it. It's going to be our year. And not because we said so, but because we can feel it, y'all. because we know that we've got the team, we've got the product. And you know what? Yes, I'm sitting here bragging, and I don't care what you say, I'm going to. This team is awesome, and we have so much going, and it's about to blow up, y'all. Y'all get back here, okay? See you next time. Thanks again for putting up with everything here. I'm okay. I really am. I'll see you on the 4th, if not tomorrow. Love you. Bye.
How you like that?